Welcome. Let's get right started. Today's going to be a bit different. I'll do a quick analysis of the price of today of Bitcoin, but then I want to look into why I think we might be nearing an end of the Bitcoin bull cycle sooner rather than later, and why next year I strongly believe that we are going to be entering a bear market. And yeah, let's get started with the Bitcoin price. So the price has gone up a bit for Bitcoin yesterday and today, but we still have the CME gap right below the current price. It's all the way down to $114,500, which I think is more likely than not going to be filled. Probably not on the weekend, but on Monday and next week, then I do believe it's going to be filled when the volume starts picking up. So what I personally did is I put a long order to buy Bitcoin at 114,000 and another one a bit below at $113,500. This is, of course, without leverage. I don't recommend anyone to trade with leverage because it's very risky. You're more likely than not to be stopped out in your positions and lose your investment. So just buy on spot. This is my strong recommendation. But let's get started with the first chart. So this table here shows us the Bitcoin yearly return since 2010. And we can clearly see that there's always 3 years of positive price movement and one red year followed by that. We've seen this. This is the first top 2013, then 2017, 2021. And right now, we are in the last of those 3 years of a green, of positive price movement of Bitcoin going up. And I believe that things are going to be the same like last time. I don't see a reason why not. Of course, we have institutions that bought Bitcoin now, but this is a very strong trend, and I don't see why things should be different. And until things are different, I don't think we should be assuming that things are going to be different in the future. And therefore, I am going to be exiting my positions this year very soon. I've already started to exit my positions, to be fair. And yeah, next year is more likely than not going to be another red year for Bitcoin. Unless you hold it in spot long term, which is always a good thing, the majority of altcoins and other coins are going to dump. So I would sell this year 100%. Right, next chart. So here we can see the Bitcoin price on the black line, and we can see the 1 year holders line on the orange line. So the orange line just shows us the people that hold Bitcoin for more than 1 year. And we can always see that they start selling before, actually way before Bitcoin reaches a top. Let's look at the last cycle top in 2021. Bitcoin reached a price of $69,000, and the hodler wave, they've started to sell months before, actually 1 year before they started selling. You can see the orange line going down. Let's look at the cycle before, 2017. Bitcoin reached a peak here, and the orange line is starting to go down more than 1 year before. Same goes for the first cycle. The orange line, the Bitcoin long-term holders have started to sell at least 1 year before the peak. And yes, of course, they started to sell a bit early, and they also start to buy a bit early already. But it is a strong indicator that once the long-term holders start selling, we are coming to an end of the Bitcoin price, right? The Bitcoin cycle. And the same goes right now for this cycle. The Bitcoin long-term holders have started to reduce already since 1 year. You can see where my cursor is right now. And this is a strong indicator that we're coming to an end of the cycle. And I don't think that things are going to be different this cycle around. I think it's going to be the exact same, like I said in the last picture. We see the Bitcoin long-term holders reducing, and this is an indicator that we're coming to an end of the cycle. Let's have a look at this chart. This is a good chart to look at. It's the net unrealized profit and loss. It shows us the Bitcoin price again in black, and then it shows us which stage of the market we're in, whether we're in capitulation, in fear, in optimism, belief, or in euphoria. And usually, whenever we hit a phase of euphoria, Bitcoin reaches a peak. People believe that the price will go higher and higher. They reach a stage of greed, which is never a good stage to be in, because we want to deassociate money, our emotions from money, right? So what this chart also tells us is that we are not yet in the euphoria stage. We are still in the belief/denial phase. So that means we might still have a few months to go, and I do think we have a few months to go, but every time we hit the euphoria stage, Bitcoin reaches a peak, right? This is 2017, Bitcoin reached a peak. We see it here in 2021. We didn't quite reach the euphoria stage, but we reached a peak then also. So definitely start selling your Bitcoin just before we reach the euphoria phase, or if we do reach it, 100% you should be selling your Bitcoins. Don't keep holding it, because we can see in history it never plays out well. Bitcoin always goes in waves, it goes up and it goes down again. And yeah, let me actually show you this before I show you the other chart. So this just shows us here the orange lines are the halving events, and this is 40 weeks after the halving is when we usually see a peak until 80 weeks after the halving, right? This is for the last bull cycle, and this is for the current bull cycle. So the halving was in April 2024, and we saw a peak 40 weeks after, exactly 40 weeks. That was around December, January of 2025. And now we're coming to the end of this green cycle. So 80 weeks after the halving is usually, according to the last cycles, always when Bitcoin has peaked out. And that's going to be in end of October this year. So there's not much time left. And it aligns with this chart. We are close to euphoria. And once we are there, definitely start selling your Bitcoins. Finally, let's look at this chart. So it just shows us the monthly Bitcoin prices, the monthly chart, but on the bottom, more importantly, it shows us the RSI, the relative strength index. And the RSI tells us if Bitcoin is overbought or oversold. And usually whenever it reaches the 85 line, Bitcoin is very much overbought. And this is when we see a top. Let's look at the last cycle, 2021, right? We reached the RSI, Bitcoin reached a local top. 2017, we reached the RSI at 85, Bitcoin reached a top. Same with the first in 2013. We are not quite there yet, so I do believe there's still some room to grow. However, we are coming to an end. And I believe Bitcoin will top out very soon, within the next, let's say, 3 months approximately. So we're in July right now. I think by October, September, you should really have started to take profits. I think you should already start to take profits. I personally have done so. And I'm going to continue to take profits in the next few months, but I'm definitely not going to be holding at least my altcoins for the next year. After at least 2026, I'm not going to be holding those, because those are the ones which usually dump the most if Bitcoin crashes. And with that, that's all for today's video. I hope these charts explain a bit of my reasoning, why I think Bitcoin will go down. And yeah, don't get too optimistic, too greedy. If the price goes up, you should take profits. As they always say, no one went broke taking profits. See you.